Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for a live television first as we attempt to commune with the devil.
Lily, can you hear me?
Good to see you again, Jack.
Lily, return to me.
Late Night with the Devil. This came out in theaters a little bit ago, and I figured it could use the quick review treatment, as there's quite a bit to talk about here, surprisingly. From being an independent film triumph, to being boycotted for its use of AI images, to people saying it's the best horror movie of the year so far. I don't know about that one, but okay. I've got some definite thoughts, so let's get right into it. Right off the bat, I want to address the elephant in the room, being the AI stuff. Right before the film got a wide release, it's also coming to Shudder in a few days, so be aware of that, it was announced that the directors used 3 AI-generated images for interstills throughout the movie. They did edit them slightly, but still AI-generated images. Now, these pictures do not show up very often. They're on screen for a few seconds at most and contribute absolutely nothing to the story outside of ambiance, but it's also something that any graphic designer could have made relatively quick. I can kind of understand both sides here, but personally, I don't agree with the directors. They could and should have hired an artist to take care of these things. I don't care that the images were added late in the editing process and were edited a bit themselves too. Some artist could easily have made something quickly enough to slot in. Using AI art is just lazy. I don't really think a boycott was the right way to go about it though, especially since it is an indie film, but boycotts are the most effective way to get a message across, so who am I to judge? Let people do what they want to in regards to their positions on the subject. The film reportedly had a budget of less than $2 million, and there is a hilariously large amount of studio credits before the film even starts, so yeah, it kind of makes sense how indie this is. I don't know if you'd want to hurt those pockets, but still, it's making a lot of money regardless, so whatever. But those studio credits, oh my god, there's so many. It was so bad. My theater was laughing after the 5th one, wondering just how many are in here before the film even starts. It's more than a solid minute of these things, by the way, and they are not short. Just show a picture and go. Some of them have little scenes associated with them. It is bizarre why there's so many. But that's indie films for you. And I don't think I've seen many of those studio credits before, so that's something. And then finally, when the movie starts, you are given a brief documentary-style introduction detailing the plot and backstory, how the movie is the taping of a Halloween episode of a 70s late-night talk show with behind-the-scenes material shot during commercial breaks, and details the background of the host of the show. The movie then follows this Halloween episode of Night Owl with its host Jack Delroy, who proceeds to have a psychic on the show, a magician skeptic brought on to debunk the other guests, and a parapsychologist and her ward, a young girl named Lily, that the doctor claims to be possessed by a demon. Against all warnings, Jack decides to attempt to bring the demon out of Lily on air, and what follows, well, I'm not going to spoil that for you guys. That would ruin the whole thing, wouldn't it? It's a fun premise that has a lot of creepy moments building up to its climax. David Dastmalchian is a fantastic choice for Jack Delroy, giving the perfect amount of skepticism, belief, and desperation the host of a failing talk show should have. It's fun to see him get exasperated with the guests, getting a little pushy, and then immediately have to go back into his talk show persona when the cameras come back on. And everything else he has to do here, it's just a lot of fun, especially when he has to get a little too desperate in order to push things further than they should ever go. Ingrid Torelli as Lily is also really good whenever she's on screen. Such a creepy presence literally as soon as she's introduced. I love how unsettling she is and seems to always know exactly what camera is on her and when, looking directly into it each time. Oh, it's great. It's wonderfully creepy and disturbing and so subtle. Well, I mean, it's obvious she's literally looking right at the camera, but it's subtle enough that it isn't drawn out. It's not called directly to, it's something you notice and go, ooh, I don't like that. Everyone else in here puts in a pretty solid performance, but those two are the clear standouts. I wish Lily was on screen more, as she brings just such a cool presence, but unfortunately she's relegated to the last third of the movie, being the last guest brought out. And that's a problem with this film. It feels too short. Being just under an hour and a half, it really could have lasted much closer to 2 hours, I think. The pacing up until the climax is perfect, with wonderfully creepy moments and tense scenes with a pervading mystery that just builds and builds, with hints to Delroy's backstory and these other characters and what's going on with them, and it's really cool. I would have loved to see that explored just a little bit more than what we got. It had plenty of room to grow, but once the climax starts, after a pretty bizarre moment, which I'll get into in a minute, the pacing ramps up fast, and then it just ends on a really stark note, and that bugs me. Sudden bursts of chaos leading to silence or confusion and kickstarting climaxes that way can be fun, and it's all well and good, but in a movie like this, it could have lasted a lot longer and been more justified. The other thing that bugs me, like I just mentioned, is that odd moment before the climax. The film suddenly decides to ignore reality, where otherwise it stayed pretty grounded outside of the demon-possessed child. It throws in an admittedly disturbing and creepy scene just to go, oop, let's explain it away with science that makes absolutely no sense, before immediately rushing into the climax. Like, why? Don't hinge everything if you're going to stay grounded into sudden, oop, we're going into fantasy science. It's weird. I don't like that. I feel like a lot of that ending could have been reworked and made just a little more believable if they were truly trying to go down that reality ground route and skeptic route. My last nitpick, though, is about the ending. It was way too fast. But the film also forgot what it set itself up as too. It started with a documentary-like opening detailing the life of Delroy before this episode of Night Owls, but at the end, it just ends. There's no closing monologue from the documentary narrator or a "where are they now" segment. Nothing. It feels weird and like an obvious thing to do to fully round out the movie. I mean, Lake Mungo did it. The Tunnel did it. Come on. I feel like if it was included, the rush of the climax could have been partially forgiven if it ended on a creepy or ominous note, like maybe an interview with someone or detailing of what happened next, or if bodies were found or what. Without that there, it feels like the movie just ends unfinished, and nobody likes that. It's a good ending, but it just really needed that end cap here, which is a shame because up until that, I really liked this movie. The practical effects were extremely solid, aside from a bad puppet or two here or there, and the digital effects, when added, looked straight out of VHS. The tension and creep factors were wonderfully paced and effective, and I absolutely love how the movie tied into real-life locations. It stated that Delroy has a connection to the Grove, which is a very real place you probably know called the Bohemian Grove, which is a camp for elite and powerful men. It features weird owl statues and shrines and imageries and has long been the subject of conspiracies of devil worship among the elites and presidents and such. It's just a really cool detail that is surprisingly important to the story in ways that I'm not going to spoil. There's also this really cool cinematography trick during the climax going on that features several one-take shots where costume characters have to appear in and out of frame and constantly disappear as soon as the camera's off of them and then it goes back. Oh, it's so cool. I love things like that. It's just really fun to watch. Like I said before too, I love the little tricks with the camera, like how Lily always knows what camera is on her, or how when one camera starts to glitch, it's immediately swapped to another camera. That's really good and feels genuine. Even when the show goes to commercials, behind the scenes videos play in black and white and split screen, showing multiple angles and people reacting to various things going on or talking to each other. It's great, really cool and creative. I just wish it was like that for the whole movie. I do have to say that the writer and directors, which are brother combo of Cameron and Colin Cairns, did a fantastic job and know what they were doing. I just feel like that ending needed a little bit more of a rework or a rewrite. Maybe they were running out of money, so they had to shoot it and speed it all up. But if it was just a little longer, maybe 15, 20 minutes, I think it would have been perfect. Give plenty more time to build up so much more tension and be able to extend the climax and then end with a documentary epilogue. I think that'd be cool. I feel like this movie could have been so much better like that if it was just a little longer, so the climax wasn't as rushed and could still be shocking and violent, but a bit more introspective as well, and really just needs that end cap. I can't stress that enough. It really bugs me it's not there. So weird that it's not. Really would have made this film a solid 9 if it was there. It was just a lot of fun, and that really drags it down for me. Not too much that it drops into, I don't want to bother territory, but still drops it down to probably about a letter grade. As it is though, I think there are better movies with similar premises, maybe not 70s aesthetic, but still good ones like 2019's The Cleansing Hour, which is also on Shudder. Still, this is a solid and pretty fun film. I say check it out in theaters if you can, or if you'd rather boycott the film and not give them creators money because of the AI stuff, then probably go ahead and stream it, as it will be on Shudder next week. So definitely do that if you don't want to see it in theaters. Ultimately though, Late Night with the Devil gets an 8 out of 10 from me. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around for another one. Possession films are always fun. If you can put a unique spin on it, then by all means go for it. This is definitely unique in the 70s talk show era. I kind of wish it leaned a little bit more into the possession aspect, as you really only get a couple scenes of that, and everything before that is just tension building. I did mention The Cleansing Hour, which is a 2019 possession film out of Shudder, which is also indie. I definitely recommend that one. I think that is a much better pacing and is also a horror comedy. The CG in it is not great. That's where the budget definitely shows, but everything else surrounding it is pretty good. It's got a good story, great characters, very similar premise, but it's in the modern day where it's a streamer who usually makes stuff up for people to watch, so fake exorcisms and things, but things change when he has his girlfriend on who does actually get possessed and then has to do a live stream with the demon tormenting him and his friends. It's surprisingly really fun, and the acting from the possessed girl, I can't remember her name right now, fantastic. Definitely recommend that movie. Other possession movies I did recommend The Taking of Deborah Logan. I think that was really unique and cool. There's a bunch. There's so many of these. I don't know. What did you guys think of this movie? What did you think about the AI art? Does that stop you from supporting it? Do you not want to see it after that? Or I don't know. I wouldn't say that this is the scariest film of the year so far. It's definitely up there, I guess. I wouldn't really call it scary, but it's definitely fun. Good creepy, good tension. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. After that, don't forget to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a video. And that's it. Have a great day, and if you're not, have a better one. See ya.
I'm just a ghost in your stereo, the fading memory of a shipwreck in the undertow. You're just a lost soul, and I'm just a